Today's episode is brought to you by Mazars. SoundCartel. If you could accurately measure and document extreme client loyalty, imagine the impact on the value of your goodwill. From SoundCartel, I'm Nicole Goodman, and this is Business Essentials Daily. Offering a 10 out of 10 customer experience can do wonders for your bottom line and have you soaring ahead of the competition. That's the message from Darrell Hardidge, CEO of client experience research company Saguity. But he wants us to take that one step further. Client loyalty and goodwill become significant issues, particularly if you're thinking of selling up, or they can help identify the real value of a business if you're thinking of buying. Darrell Hardidge explains to Heather Dawson.
When a company has what we call extreme client loyalty, which is having the bulk of their market giving them a 10 out of 10 service experience, what it means is there's a lot of predictability with these clients. You can effectively have a lot of confidence in knowing that they are going to return. Whereas companies that don't have high levels of extreme client loyalty, where they're delivering, say, the satisfaction standards of an 8 out of 10, basically most of their clients are going to also shop with the competition. So it therefore means that you're sharing your clients with your competitors and it reduces the value of your client base.
So, Darrell, what you're saying is if you can accurately measure and document your clients' appreciation of you, then there's your proof of future performance. Absolutely.
The other thing is referrals. You have to be able to ask your clients, have you recommended us? And if you have, how many people roughly would you have told in a specific conversation about our business? And then of those people that you've told, are you aware of any of them that have actually been in touch or ideally purchased from us? So we want to know referrals, as in referral ratios, what they actually say, and the conversion rate of that. So when you know this, you can look at your client base. Let's say it's a major company with 1,000 clients and they have really high scores. And this is some examples that I have where they can look at their market and say, well, we are very confident that 80% of our existing clients are giving us 10. They are definitely coming back. And of those 80%, on average, they're telling around 4.2 people about us. So this is where a company could almost turn off its marketing, because they've got the bulk of their clients coming back and they're bringing their friends and colleagues. So they will organically grow. That's a very powerful business. When companies don't have these high client loyalty scores, and especially if they're measuring satisfaction, they'll probably find that they've got about 2/3 of their market returning, maybe half, and also their referrals are lower. And this is why they've got to spend a lot of money on marketing, because they've basically got to fill up the bucket that's got holes in it.
But this sort of information could be very valuable if we're thinking of buying a business, selling up, or even looking for equity partners to buy in, for example.
Absolutely. I'm a firm believer that there's a lot of flaws in the way companies are valued at the moment. I've spoken to quite a few accountants about this, about, when you measure goodwill, how predictable is it? Would you put your house on it? Because that's what you're asking the buyer to do effectively. And I've had lots of accountants say, well, it's a guide and you negotiate it and you agree somewhere in the middle. You can't really predict it. And part of the problem with that, Heather, is that companies go off their profit and loss and they look at past behaviour of clients. So if you're looking at buying a business or selling a business and all you've got is the financials of the past, it's very risky because you're not really sure about what's going to happen. So when you have the information at hand and it's been sought properly, you've got to do this through a specific process. You can't just send out emails for this. But if you can have a figure that gives you a percentage of certainty on repeat transactions and also the information on the ratio of referrals, and then depending on the company, if they're tracking their lead generation and conversion rates properly, they should be able to tell you, we have 50% of our new clients are referrals. If they can't give you this kind of data, then usually it's a bit sketchy. And I've actually consulted with some clients, helping them when they're looking at buying businesses or merging businesses, where we look at the data from the client base and say, well, okay, here's what they're saying you're going to buy, but how predictable is the future of these clients? And this is where a lot of people get themselves in really hot water. They buy a business, they settle on it, and it's nowhere near as good as it is. Or in some cases, people have undersold their business dramatically because the price they're working on and the ratios the accountants come up with is actually not the truth of the company. This is a very strong company that has great predictability in it, and it hasn't been reflected in the goodwill figures.
Well, remind us about how you measure client appreciation.
Well, the simple way to explain how you measure client appreciation is in the question that's asked. The question we ask every end-user client in every interview we do is, how likely is it that you would recommend ABC, with 10 being you will definitely recommend them, 0 being you definitely will not recommend them? What score represents how you feel about this business? And as soon as you have that information, straight away, you've got an indication of the client base. So if you have a business where they give a lot of 10 out of 10s, they go, 10, I'd definitely recommend them. Then you go into, well, why? And you probe deeper into their experience. Then you can ask them about future intentions, etc. So client appreciation is 10 out of 10. A 9 out of 10 is you're great, but there's still some variation. An 8 out of 10 is satisfied, it's fine, average. A 7 out of 10 is you're just okay and you're on the edge of losing these clients. And anything less than a 7, they're basically gone. So the true measure of client appreciation is what percentage of your market give you 10 out of 10. And what's interesting here is a lot of companies really struggle here, because I've seen projects where we've delivered over 1,000 interviews and they'll only have 15% of their market giving them 10, but they could have 40 or 50% of their market giving them a 9. And what they actually don't understand is they're sitting on an absolute goldmine, because just tilting those people over the edge from a 9 to a 10 dramatically increases the repeat business and has a profound impact on the referrals and the power of those referrals. So having a measurement of client appreciation for a company is basically a KPI that our clients have on their balance sheet.
So the basic message in all of this, Darrell?
Don't trust the P&Ls that you're given. If you're buying a company, I believe you must insist on having independent research done about the existing client base. However you do it, there are many ways, but don't rely upon online strategies. It can be skewed. You must have a way to speak with these clients. If you're selling a business, it's critical that you also have this, because if you have a really good, strong client base, a really loyal client base, you need to have this data in your financials. And I know of companies that have used this process of ours and they've been able to increase the value of their company because they can argue out really powerfully the future intentions of those clients. And if you're looking to bring in equity partners, bring in the banks, that sort of thing, the same kind of thing, because everyone is really looking for security no matter what. If I'm going to buy your business, I don't just want the bricks and mortar. I want to know what are the clients going to do, and having a measurement that gives predictability around that is what we call client equity. So, we basically are looking at saying goodwill's the common term, but the way it's measured has a lot of challenges around it. And usually, from the companies that I've spoken to and the accountants that I've interviewed as part of writing my book, was that rarely do they have any client engagement or client data in the documents to sell a company, which I find amazing. If you're going to buy a business full of clients, you should be talking to those clients.
That was Darrell Hardidge, CEO of Saguity. This episode of Business Essentials Daily is produced by the team at SoundCartel. Thanks for listening. I'm Nicole Goodman. We'll bring you more Be Daily tomorrow. Follow @BE Daily Podcast across social media and head to bedaily.com.au for more from the Business Essentials Daily podcast. SoundCartel. This episode was brought to you by Mazars. To find out more, visit mazars.com.au. That's mazars.com.au.